If you can stop talking for 10 seconds, that would be fantastic. You want to hit the start timer on there? You want to hit? You want to start podcasting, genius?
Hey, Biff, did you know that humans eat more bananas than monkeys?
Oh, God, I think I know this joke. Really? And?
Well, when's the last time you've seen a human eat a monkey, Biff?
Yeah.
See, they eat more bananas than they do monkeys. But it's all right. You'll get this one.
Did you see Indiana Jones? The second one.
I did. Recently too, actually.
There was some monkey feasting on that one, so
but not as many as the banana. Anyways,
probably not. Yeah.
So Biff, what does it say about the girl you're dating if you can remember her eye color after one date?
Does it have to do with the size of her breasts?
Yeah, she has small boobs. See, because you would make eye contact at that point.
Yeah.
Because it wouldn't be worth checking. I'm awful. It's 2023, allegedly.
We're so woke.
Oh, man.
So woke.
With that said,
yeah, we're eating monkeys and we're talking about staring at women's boobs. Yeah, well, that's where we're at.
Well, I'm not eating monkeys, but check me off the list for the monkey eating, but put my name on twice for the staring at boobs.
Yeah, one for each one.
2 boobs. That's what they take us for. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Carnival Personnel Podcast. It's your good old friend Jacques.
This is Biff, and I wish Joe was here. God, I wish Joe was here. Is Joe here? Oh, I guess we're going to have to go on without him. What are we going to talk about today, Jacques?
Okay.
Timing.
Oh!
Hi, everyone. It's Joe. Biff wished me into existence like the kid from the Twilight Zone.
Something like that. Yeah.
It's good that you did that, Biff. It's real good.
Oh, wow. That's one of those. Most of the Twilight Zones are now unwatchable for me. Just the anxiety of you saying that. Oh, man, it is haunting. A really good thing you did then. A really good thing. Yeah. So, hey, last week we had our friend Praise on, and it was really nice because I ended up going to a couple mics, and it was well received. Let's put it like that. Some of the other comics were like, "Oh my God, that was a lot of fun. That was great. When can I do it?" So there'll be more of that. It's all, and plus, it's just fun talking to people about comedy. I mean, I very much like that. Because I don't get to do it with you two.
I hate comedians. Sorry.
So let's so I don't know what next week's sideshow is. Life has thrown a few curveballs. We've talked about a few things. I might wrangle a comedy pal. We might do a couple other things that Biff suggested if we can pull that together. But in the meantime, Biff, why don't you tell us about the new addition to the family?
Oh, the day before Valentine's Day, my management said, "You know what? Are you available to kind of get yourself from work around 3:00? And I said, "Oh, yeah, it's after my clients on the East Coast." So I said, "Okay, so you need to come to the Pasadena Humane Society and meet me there." And the thing is, so I've been wanting a puppy for a while, or a dog for a while. I lost my last one over Memorial Day weekend, and that was a pretty traumatic one. But finally, the management was ready. I've been ready for a while, and it turns out that she kind of had pre-scouted, and she kind of had the selection in mind. Because I was actually kind of thinking, I'm thinking maybe we should just get like a senior dog and whatever. But No, she had a pup, and my God, it's freaking the cutest puppy ever. She's gonna be huge at 15 weeks. She's 30 pounds. So
Wow, that's a big one.
It's gonna be a big one.
And what is she?
She's a purebred California Valley Hound. I don't know.
Oh, they're the best. They're the best.
They're the best. No. We have no idea. Actually, the management sent in to get the genetics done just so we can see what it is. The guess, kind of the prevailing guess, is that it's a Kangal. If you know that particular breed, I know
the hat, the Kangal hat.
Yeah,
Kangal hat.
I actually knew the breed as the Anatolian Carabash, and I said I think it's an Anatolian Carabash, and it turned out that it's the same thing that everybody else was saying. So I was stupid and I didn't know that it was the same thing, but whatever.
Well, congratulations. Do we have a name?
It is Lily Buttercup, and she's kind of barking right now, so it's gonna be fun.
I'm not picking up on it, but that's did Timmy fall down the well? Does she want you to follow her?
Lily. Oh, Lily.
Yeah, she's a big dog with
Pictures
a
of
huge
Lily.
separation anxiety issues. So
but don't they all? Really though, don't they all? All the dogs we have too. So
how's your dogs doing?
So about a little over a month ago, we became a foster failure for the second time in 2 years. Management just doesn't have time with her work and traveling, and neither do I, to do our own rescue like we've done for many years. So we've been a foster for a couple rescues here in Massachusetts.
Okay. Yep.
And it's been great. We still, over the pandemic, we were fostering for a rescue still out of Qatar and Taiwan. And we end up, doing a lot of fostering for this great, and I'll put it up on Instagram and Twitter, who these people are, and they're wonderful. But it was over a year, about 18 months ago, we were fostering a 3-legged pit bull. And,
right. Okay.
as most people who listen to the podcast know, I lost the love of my life about 3 years ago. My beloved dog, Loki. I think you only have 3 or 4 dogs really.
So wait. So you love that dog more than your management? I'm just
more than anything. That
more than your kids,
and she's okay with that too.
100%. 100. Look, Biff. Here's the deal. You put your wife and your dog in the trunk of a car and you drive around for an hour going over bumps and curves and stop and start. When you get out and you open the trunk, who's happy to see you? I mean, who really loves you? Am I right? Honestly,
that sounds like the test from like a Bronx Tale, when like
right
the girlfriend
if the dog
test
leans over and unlocks the other door for you, then you keep her. So no, but I wasn't ready. The family was ready, much like your management. Everybody has to be ready, and we had this dog about, I don't want to say 48 hours. It was over 24, less than 48. And my management is like, we're keeping her, aren't we? And I gave her a scowl and I yelled at her with all my vigor and piss and vinegar. I'm like, yes, I'm not happy about it, but this dog has won me over. And so that was it. So we can't take any more. We're just going to foster. We fostered 10 dogs for this rescue since then. And then about a month ago, we got dropped off this deaf. Go ahead. There we go. You start with let's get out of the way.
Deaf, blind, and how many legs? I don't know.
This one has all 4 legs. It's a tiny. It's like an 8-pound Boston Terrier, but we were fostering that, and it was about 2-3 days, and that dog really warmed up to our little guy. And I'm like, oh, fucking A. God damn it. We're traveling this summer. We have shit to do. But yes, now we have this deaf dog. Guess what we named it? It doesn't fucking matter. and it's so hard to train a deaf dog. And I know it sounds like a lead into one of my stupid, shitty jokes, but it's true. It's a chewer. It's like every time you turn around, there's a different shoe in its mouth. It carries boots twice the size of it.
This is true. Yeah.
And every time, but what my family does, and the wife especially, she's been pulling the same fucking crap for 20. She's gonna name the dog something that warms me up to it. So of course they went with Iggy Pup. You know? I'm like, you dicks. You know? So and then the 2-year-old that she nannies, absolutely the way he says Iggy Pup. See Iggy Pup. It's like, God damn it. Now you're making him play the heartstrings too, you. And so that's it. We're done. And so the rescue says to my management, no adoption fee. You've done so much, but does this mean
cool.
you?
God.
Does this mean it's like $600? You know, which look, it's spayed, it's neutered, it has all its shots. It's when you get a rescue that has all that stuff, it's like it's amazing. It's
That's
great.
better than finishing the 10th sandwich part on your Subway card. You know?
No shit. Have you ever not lost a card? Have you ever got the free sub?
I think I had. Yeah, I think I had it once. This is pre-Jared going to jail, by the way.
Oh.
So it was
You know, another innocent man railroaded by the system. You know, but yes. So they said you guys are the best. We're the best fosters they have because my wife runs a triage unit. Like we will take the special needs. It's like, oh, do you have flaxseed? Do you have this? Oh, it's dehydrated. It's like, yeah, we got the drip. We got all this stuff. I mean, it's like, anyways. So they said, we'll give it to you, no fee, but over the next year, will you foster a couple dogs for us?
Right.
And my wife's like, sure.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I always get that's it. I'm giving you a break. I'm giving the boys a break. We're not going to take another dog for at least 2 months. After this one that they just dropped.
I don't need one other dog. I need this.
And what I hate about I cannot tell you how many times, Joe, this has happened because I'm not on Facebook, where Biff will say, oh, so do you like the new dog? I'm like, what new dog? Oh, because she had posted on Facebook before she got home. Biff would see it, tell me in hockey, and it's like,
I love how she tells the whole world before you.
Yeah.
100%. You know what I mean? No,
I think, and I always thought it was hilarious as I'm, you know, it's not so much I'm telling Jacques as much as it's in the group text where I do the screenshot and say, hey, Jacques, have you seen this? It's really not so much so that Jacques is informed. It's really so that we as a group can ridicule Jacques.
Yes.
Because you
kind
get
of a twofer.
You get so little opportunity to do that. There's it's like a Haley's comment. So we get the phone call. There's this dog that just, you know, came up from Texas. It's pregnant. We have a house that's going to deliver its babies. Those people are going to be gone for a week. The vet says the dog is 2 weeks out. And so after the second day, and this dog is a fucking sweetheart. Oh my God. She is just a love. And management and the little one who's literally, I know where his allegiance are now, you know what I mean? And he's like, can they have the puppies here? No. Can they have the puppies here? No. Well, he really wants to see the puppies here. No. Okay, let me test it. Hey, Squish, will you help me take these other 3 dogs for a quick walk? I'll play the game. I'll do it later. And then I would look at the wife and say, no, it's because I'm going to do it. So, no, we can't. We can't. You know, at one point, there's just no room. So on Valentine's Day, because I'm a hopeless romantic, I went and did an open mic in Lowell. I got there at 8, got out of there at like 9:30ish. A bunch of us drove the 40 minutes up to Manchester, New Hampshire to do another mic that starts at 9:30. I got out of there at like 11:30. I get home, you know, do X, do Y, do C, straightening up, packing the boys' lunch for the next day, and all of a sudden I hear the unmistakable sound. I'm like, what is that whimpering? What the hell is that? Why is there, do we have a field mice in here? It's like, no, it can't be a literally I'm like, why would we have mice? It's
Am I so hungry that my stomach is whimpering?
Right. So I go, you know, and she's in the big crate. I go upstairs and I tell management, it's like, hey, so this is now, it's Valentine's Day, you know, that was on Monday. So now it's 1 a.m. on Valentine's Day. And I'm like, hey, for Valentine's Day, I'm gonna let you keep the dog to have its babies here. Half asleep. Oh, that's. Is she having the dogs? It's like she realized where my compassion all. Honestly, almost like pushes me out the window, running downstairs. You have to, get the.
Okay, you're being too long-winded. Let's get to the point.
We have 9 pup. Well, it gave 9 puppies over the next like 8 hours, and she stayed up till like 5:30, and we thought we were done. Thought they were done. 8 of them, and then 3 hours later, she's lingering. She's supposed to go to work. She's taking one last picture as the dog stands up, circles around 3-4 times, plops out another one. So
there you go.
So, and that's my life. So that is my, like, our house is an official.
So how many are you keeping? How many are you keeping?
No, we can't, because we and she knows that. It's like we definitely can't, and not just saying it. We really,
Joe, what's the over under on this? What do you think?
I don't know if one of them knows how to, like, play hockey or.
No, because she has to go away she has to go to Chicago for Passover, then Chicago for 3 weeks in June, and then the boys and I, lots of things going on. But at one point, one of the boys or both of the boys and I are coming out to LA for anywhere from like 3 to 6 weeks. So we just can't. And I'll probably drive out with the big dog. I'll probably take Valkyrie with us, and she'll take the 2 small ones to Chicago. But yeah, so Biff has this new dog. I have a bunch of new dogs, and what's happening with you? Joe, I've heard rumors that.
No, it's a dog eat dog world, and I'm eating all the dogs. I don't want any.
I've made it clear to Joe.
Joe went to Wiener Schnitzel on Valentine's Day. And,
just without a doubt, no. So.
I'm gloriously dog free for now.
No, and you should be. I've had a long talk with Joe, and I'm like, hey, don't do this. Let me live vicariously through you. Just the thought of you. But while we're talking to Joe and about his house, Joe, why don't you tell us about what's happening on the 3rd floor of the palatial Casa del Joe?
Well, my Loseum, as you called it, right. It is no more. So I've gone and tried to reconstruct what I used to have. You don't know what you got till it's gone, really. So I do miss a lot of it, but some of it I was able to reconstruct, and it's kind of like the Field of Dreams. If you build it, you will cry. So here, I don't know if you guys can see it, but no, you probably can't. Yeah, let me just move out of the way
there
here.
We go, yeah. Oh, okay. Are those IKEA bookshelves?
They're 2 Target TV stands that I cobbled together. So I Frankenstein something. But yes, it's coming along.
There you go.
And now, if we could only come up with a name for this area in the castle.
Well, I called it the NEW-Seum, but there actually was a NEW-Seum. It was a news museum in Washington, D.C. I don't know if it's still there. Probably not. I don't know. Thanks, Obama.
But yeah, I was so happy. It's like, oh my God, that is just delicious. And when he said NEW-Seum, I'm like, it's one of those things. It's like, look, do I miss my old dog Loki? Yeah, but is it nice to have Valkyrie? Is it the same? It's the same. No, it's not. But it's a different kind of love, right, Joe? So
that's right. Yeah, right. So yeah, and I'm going through old VHS tapes, and the gold I'm finding. Not really, but anyways, we'll save that for another podcast.
So here was the big goings on here this week, which I've posted a couple times. It's been a really great week. First of all, last week, the week before was April vacation, and
February vacation. Thank
you. And I signed my oldest one up for lifeguard, training through the town. And he was like, yeah, fine, I'll do it. And then about 3 days before it started, we got the email of what it would entail. And instantly I called management. I'm like, yeah, I'm not going to make him do this. It's the entire vacation. Like the Saturday for 2 hours orientation, Monday, 10 hours of CPR and first aid training, and then 6 hours in the pool every day the rest of the week. And I'm like, that's his whole vacation. He will be at the camp more than he would have been in school. And much to my surprise, he said, no, I'll do it. I'll try it.
Yep. So how'd it go?
It went great. It went it went great and it went bad because on Friday was a written test and he doesn't do written tests well. But the budget for the following Saturday, like the next day, for you to come back and retake it, because the whole deal is it's free. And you get your lifeguard CPR certificate, but you have to work for the town pool for one summer.
Right. Yep.
Or if you want to go take it and take your certificate and go work at the Y or something like that, you got to pay $200. And the fact that he was so upset when he didn't pass the test on Friday and he was like mad at himself, but he pulled it together, did it. And it's like, it was great. It was great. Okay. So he
has a summer job now?
Well, that's why we're not sure. 16 people started on the first orientation and only 9 people, passed the course.
Wow. So 7 people drowned?
7 people, well, those 9 did a really shitty job of, you know what I mean? So he can do that. And so we're very proud of him. More importantly, he's proud of himself. So I had to be in New York City.
New York City?
Thank you.
Okay.
On Tuesday for a meeting, like late morning to mid-afternoon. It wasn't sure when the meeting was going to happen. It's you've met the guy. His name is Dearman, a music contact of mine. And I text my cousin and I'm like, hey, I got to be in town. Do you want to grab lunch or dinner? I can be there Tuesday, Wednesday. And he's like, oh my God, Tuesday we're at work. And I haven't seen my cousin Jimmy since the summertime.
Yep.
And so I say to management, I'm like, hey, why don't I bring the boys? Like, who the fuck cares? They missed one day of school. And she's like, no, blah, blah, blah. They just had February vacation. I'm like, well, fine. Okay. And then it started to look like there was going to be a storm.
Right.
Monday night. So I'm tracking the storm all day. And I'm like, oh man, it's supposed to be bad. It's not supposed to be horrible in Boston and horrible in New York, but between Boston and New York, it's snowmageddon. And it's supposed to start between midnight, 11 p.m. and midnight. So I'm like, okay, if I'm in the car at 8:30, I get home from jiu-jitsu, 7:30. If I'm in the car at 8:30, I pre-pack. I'm in New York before it starts snowing. All good. I'm literally getting the last trip from on the car to the house to get some stuff. The phone rings and my wife's phone rings the exact same second. And we don't have to look down because when your phone's ringing the exact same second, it's an Amber Alert or it's a robocall from the school saying it's canceled the next day.
I thought AI got so out of control that phones started calling themselves.
Yeah, exactly.
Or each other, rather.
It worries me because you know where we live, Joe. You know iRobot and what they're creating.
Boston Dynamics,
Boston Dynamics. Fuck you. Fuck all of those. What? Have you seen a fucking movie? Come on. Anyway.
But it turned out it wasn't that at all. It was a snow day, and yeah. So what happened?
I said to the big guy, I'm like, hey, do you want to come? You want to see cousin Jimmy, who he loves? And he's like, well, blah, blah, blah. I might do this. I'm like, okay. He goes, well, we'll see him all summer. I'm like, well, you don't know. He didn't want to go. He kind of did, but didn't. And the little guy kind of wanted to go, but he didn't. And I'm like, okay, I don't have time for your shenanigans. I'm leaving. I love you all. See you tomorrow. I get in the car. I almost get to Worcester. And I get the phone call from my wife. Don't be mad. But he really, really wants to go. He thinks you're going to be mad at him. Look, he's 15. I don't know how many road trips he's going to want to do with Dad. Plus, we're getting to the tipping point where he's so proficient in jiu-jitsu and he's 180 built like a fucking tank. And I don't know how much
longer. So you drive back.
I drive back. And
wait, I like that Biff is like, General, get the fuck on with it right now. Like he can't, like Biff is not putting up with it.
I am determined to create a 55-minute podcast one of these days.
And I drive back. I get him all good. And he was so happy I drove back. So now
I'll say this. You know what? So you did tell us about the thing, and it looks like horrible footage of just right. I mean, just like I don't know what kind of weather you had, but I'm going to ask you. So, like, at what point did you think it's a good idea to be, documenting that while driving through that crap.
By the time I get back to Worcester, and now it starts. So that 3-hour window.
Should you have 2 hands on the wheel?
Oh yeah, no, she's my co-pilot. But yes, the answer is yes. And then it was fine. It was fine. Then you hit Hartford, and the skies open up, and now it's like I'm looking at the map and I'm looking at the mileage, and I'm like, I am at the exact halfway point. I'm at the damned if you do, damned if you don't. No cars on the road. It's a 55-mile highway at this point, 2 lanes. I'm driving in the middle about 25, and every 20 minutes, a half hour, a car will come by, blowing by us. And by blowing by us, I mean 40, 45, 3 times about 3 or 4 miles up the road. That person's in the ditch. That person's. And every time we would slow down, it's like, do you have a phone? Is there a tow truck coming? I'm not getting out and helping push anybody because the truck behind you can't see, so
I mean, it seems like stopping is makes sense, but that means that you're like a still target.
Right. And
right, I mean,
and have you made that drive? So it's interesting, Biff. At one point in Connecticut, the stations, the rest stations, they're kind of more like just pull in little things, and they're really in and out, really convenient. But we stopped at almost every one just to get the ice off. Like even with the wipers and everything, it wasn't snowing; it was coming down ice. So but you know what? It was great. It was a nice life lesson.
So you get to New York
4 in the morning, 4:30 in the morning, and my cousin texts me at like 3:30 in the morning because he's still up writing. Like he's not. You don't go home on Saturday Night Live. You just don't go home on a shoot week. Right. And he's like, "I'm so sorry. Can I move it till 1:30? And then can I move it till 2? And now my other meeting was going to be at 3, and now he's saying, can we meet at 3? And I have to make the decision. It's like, do I see Dearmid, who I kind of should, and it's great, or do I see my cousin? And I'm like, no, you know what? I'm going to see my cousin. And so the little guy and I just had the whole day to go around. It was wonderful. It was great. The other one who didn't come was when he saw, it's like, I didn't know you guys were going to go back to the M&M store. I didn't know there was a Pele store there, the Pele store in Times Square. And so he got himself his man, because he went to football camp last. He gets very triggered if you call it soccer. He has 100% committed his life.
You shouldn't have said that, because I'm just gonna freaking soccer all the time.
Oh yeah, no, hey, you know what he's like, and just remember, he's
soccer it to me, baby.
But he does. He went to camp all week and he loves it. And he got a custom Manchester United jersey with his name on the back. So and then we saw my cousin Jimmy. And I'm not speaking out of school here. He looked great. He looked horrible.
Right. Yeah.
He looked like a fit zombie.
Yeah. All he can do is work out. You know what I mean? He has a gym at 30 Rock, gym at his apartment if he ever goes back there. And the only way to deal with stress, because, his boyfriend lives in LA. He's only here once every 3 weeks. And he's like, so he's ripped. He's buff. He looks fantastic, but he is pale as anything.
And deprived and all that good stuff.
Oh, it's funny because I end up saying that to my son. I'm like, you got to remember, he worked his ass off to look this bad. This is his dream job, and you got to be careful what you wish for. But it was great. And then, I look and I'm like, oh, on the way home, there's an open mic. And I've heard of this club, and so I'm like, okay, it's down in the Village. So I say to Grayson, I say, hey, because we're done with lunch at like 4. I'm like, let's drive down there. Get down. It would take about a half hour to get down there. I'm like, we'll walk around. We'll find a place for you to eat. That's right next to the club. And that's one of the things he loves about New York. He's a big foodie. And you look 50 yards in this direction. There's 8 different ethnic restaurants with people of that ethnicity running that restaurant. It's not like, I'm the guy running the Turkish.
Are you telling me that New York is diverse?
I am telling you, it is.
You know what's funny? You'll hate Tokyo for that, because you know what? They have all those places. Vegan, vegetarian options, not so easy.
Yeah, I live for a couple weeks. They have candy. I'll live. I can eat. And so that was the idea. So now it's 5:30. We walk into the place. It's down in a basement. It's a comedy cellar. The old guy running it, I at first didn't know if he was joking. He goes, "You guys both comics?" It's like, "Yep." There's a couple comedians in there, a couple open mic guys. You're like, "Oh, the sign up list is right over there," and we're like, "Oh, okay. You guys want a beer?" I'm looking at my 15-year-old, and I'm like, "No, we'll have a couple Diet Cokes if you got them." And then I'm like, "Just sit down," And then we're talking to the other guys and I don't know if it was because his eyesight isn't great, the guy running it, because he's much older. I don't know if it's because it's dim lit. I don't know if he just doesn't fucking give a fuck. And why not? It's a warm body on a Tuesday night, and let's fill this place up. So my little guy went next door, got himself a couple corn dogs, came back. It starts like a half hour later. Everybody, except us, have had a couple beers. They're like 15-ish people.
What was the humidity in there?
It was nice. It was actually, it was nice. I should have taken a picture. And then 2 or 3 comedians in, like, the MC sees him. He's like, "Hey, you going up?" He's like, "No, blah, blah, blah." And I looked at him like, "Dude, go up." Because what am I going to say? I'm like, "Go up and talk shit about your brother, make fun of me, talk about all the dogs at the house." So a couple more comedians go up. I go up. And then one guy in between us, and then the MC looks over and goes, "You want to give it a try?" And he's like, "Sure." And he was so comfortable. It was almost disturbing. I mean, now his opening line was his best line. He's like, "How many people have siblings?" "Yeah, they suck, right?" It's like, we all have a sibling that sucks, you know what I mean? And it's like instantly, and then it got a little Billy Madison at the end of the rambling, but his rambling was done with such comfort and ease, and and I'm on fire, like I'm watching, this is my son up there doing his first minor league game, you know what I mean? This is one of those moments.
You've just taken your first step into a more depressing world.
And like he was saying, it's like, I've done so many plays. He's done like 6 or 7 plays, right. School band and band performances, whether he's been playing drums, a guitar, keyboard. He's been on stage 50 times in his life. And then it's funny that he's like, "Well, there's more kids in my classroom that I have to speak in front of, and they're assholes." And that was his calculus. He was like, "Yeah, this was easier. There was less people, and these people kind of want to laugh. You know what I mean? Kind of don't want to punch down at a 15-year-old kid, or maybe, but so my family, I've talked to him before. It's like, these open mics are horrible. My wife is not allowed to go to them because they're horrible. The misogyny, the punching down.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah.
The use of the F word, and I don't mean fuck. The use of the R word. Oh man, I'm a comic, and I'm going to be shocking, and it's 1993. And
wait, what's the F word? Is that foreskin? What?
Somebody who chooses to be part of the LGBT. When you decide to become gay, Jimmy. No, it's so it's. So, but he did great. I was on fire.
There's treatment for that.
No, we just pray. You can pray away the gay, dude. That's how it works. Just pray away the gay. So he did. He had fun. I had fun.
I'll bet you there's a song, "Pray Away the Gay." That's a song, Christian rock song. It's in there somewhere. I'm gonna go ahead and keep talking. I'm gonna Google it.
Do you want to Google it? Because that's gonna be on your history. That's gonna come up on your. At one point, someone's gonna, "Hey Biff, I gotta look something up on your history." Why is Biff looking up?
Do you not know like ways to search without leaving
incognito? Anyone?
Or the other thing you could do is you could do your search on DuckDuckGo on private mode on Firefox.
I just use my burner phone, Biff.
Burner phone.
So he just watched Breaking Bad, so give him a break.
So I did. So I came home on fire, and then the next morning I get the email. It's like, the reminder that the nice open mic that's at the coffee shop at Mill Number 5. And I said to him, I was like, "Dude, do you want to go up tomorrow and do it?" He's like, "I don't know," but because now he has time to think about it. Before, it happened. It just happened. You know, he didn't have time to second guess. Just get up there. Like I remember the first time I drove to Worcester a few months ago, and I called Joe, and I'm like, you know, when I did it in L.A. This summer, the place was right next door to Renetsky's. I didn't have time to talk myself out of it, but now I'm in the car for an hour, and I got plenty of time for the voices to say, "Don't do this. Don't do this. Kill yourself. Don't do this. Don't do this. You should kill yourself. Don't do this. Don't do this. Kill yourself."
So there is a
is there a YouTube comment section in your brain, by the way?
So just to confirm, there's "Pray the Gay Away" sung by Melissa Carper on YouTube.
Oh, great.
77,000 views. Like way more views than our, podcast.
Can we go out on that?
Yeah, you know what? What is she gonna do? Like, you know what I mean?
Pray the gay away. Oh my God.
Oy.
That's the world we live in.
There's another one called "You Can't Pray the Gay Away," but there's one that is "Pray the Gay Away." So yeah, there you go.
So we did the other, did the open mic on Thursday, and so I had put out there, it's like, 2 cities in 2 days. Is this a tour? So, and it's funny because, like, it's been a great moment, parenting thing and a bonding thing. I'm like, dude, it happened, and you did it. Like, whether you continue with this or you never do it again, you're going to be at college in like 6 years, and somebody's going to be like, oh, there's an open mic. It's like, yeah, I've done that. What? Yeah, I was 15 years old and I was in New York, and your friends are going to be like, bullshit. You're going to be like, no, here it is.
It's when you were talking about how you were trying to coax him to come up on stage, it was almost like that scene from Tommy Boy. It's like, come on, Tommy Boy, come and join me on stage. Well, I can't. Okay.
Okay.
Hey, okay.
How do we look?
Fat.
Chubby.
Much chubby, that's right. Oops, I said the third F word, by the way. There's a new F word, and it's that.
So that was it. So on the other hand, Biff, the last time we talked, I was getting ready to do my big comedy show that I've been prepping for relentlessly for a month. Joe was helping me prep, and at one point he saw my notes, and he's like, "You're beautiful minding your set," like, because I was honestly trying to get each bit down and calculate.
You didn't prep that hard for your colonoscopy.
I did not. I actually did. Oh, that's awful. Anyways, but Biff knows that. But you've had 3. You haven't had your first one, right? No, you got a few years, Joe. You got like 6 years.
Actually, I think I'm on target. I'm 45, so
okay.
I think for my birthday I'll be getting my colonoscopy.
But yeah, so when I did it a couple months ago, I had 7 minutes, and this time I have like 15, and every
That's a long time to talk.
It is.
You would think it's a long time to talk. Then you listen to this podcast, and it's like,
we're at the 45-minute mark right now. So yeah. I don't know.
No, so it was. So anyways, it was awful. It's like a bunch of people came to see me. I was so excited, and a bad comedian blames the crowd. So I'm not blaming the crowd. I'm just saying the exact same jokes in the exact same room that 2 months earlier, because I did the same opening 3 minutes. I changed up about 50% of what I did last time, but another 6 minutes was new, or at least new to them. And I was polished and I was ready, and Joe can weigh in on like whether my cadence and my timing and my rushing and all that stuff. Absolutely crickets. It was so painful to tell a joke that in the same room with a bigger crowd absolutely killed. And this time it was like doing it for my deaf dog.
And to think you're at this age to come to that realization.
But I'm friends with one of the other comics who went up, and he was like, "Oh my God, dude, all of them." Like, there was like 5 comics on the bill, and it was Joe.
But the crowd sucked, man. I was there. I was part of the crowd, and I actually encouraged them all to stop laughing. I actually shushed a whole row. I was like, "What are you doing? I'm trying to listen to the jokes. Shut the fuck up. Go on with the telling of the jokes, guy on stage. I've quieted the crowd for you."
Oh, so it's been the best in the world. But you know what? At least I didn't give money to a guy who I thought was Ed Sheeran to come to my church and sing "The Shape of You." And I don't.
You know what?
To be fair, though. You go ahead.
No, I was going to say, what? You're gonna air out my dirty laundry on this podcast. I'm leaving.
Did you guys see the story?
Yes. But to be fair, I mean, how much did they pay him?
$35.
Yeah, so like, come on.
And here's the beautiful thing. When the reporter asked the pastor, why did you think the real Ed Sheeran was going to come to your church and perform for $35? And he's like, well, I just assumed he had fallen on hard times. I'm sorry, $35 and a sandwich.
Let's pretend some of us don't know the story. What was the story?
Yeah. So there's a town, Toulouse. It's not Tuscaloosa. It's like that.
I think
Toulouse is more
but
like
I mean,
it.
so yeah, but it's
three churches. He got three churches to pay him to do appearances, and he kind of looks like Ed Sheeran had fallen on hard times and a pile of meth. So
yeah, that's about right. Yeah.
Did he at least have a British accent or no?
They didn't mention that, but that was my favorite thing. Why did you think Ed Sheeran was showing up in your podunk town at your and then I'm doing the math in my head. I'm like, well, this is a Twitter account for the police station. They put out an APB. There's an investigation. It's $35 in a sandwich. Just pressing, send on the tweet costs them $35. Let it go, man. I'm also from the school of thought. If you're dumb enough to think that some guy.
So let me try to disseminate this. I'm a little slow. All right. I remember I was the guy who didn't laugh in the audience. Yeah. So there was a guy who just, I guess, he purposely went to churches or advertised to churches that he was Ed Sheeran, and if they could wire him $35 or Venmo him $35, he would come and sing at their church. And then he was a no-show because he scammed three churches, right? So then a local police department then was, I guess the church called their police department. The police department then took it upon themselves to tweet out the APB on their Twitter account.
Well, here's the part of the story that I don't think I made clear. My apologies. He showed up at a church and sang. Oh. He actually performed at one of the church. And I think that's when one of the people, I'm going to guess it was a young 14-year-old girl who was like, that's not Ed Sheeran, you dummies.
Yeah, The Shape of You doesn't sound like Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star either. So.
Oh, man. And when I say, look, honestly, he could pass as Ed Sheeran's older second cousin with a severe meth problem. But so
how's that power bar, by the way?
No, when you talk this much, man, you gotta
stuff your. Yeah, something's gonna make you stop talking. Just put food in it. Yeah.
But Joe, this isn't the only country.
It's like that. You know how they do the when you have the pigs dig for the truffles.
Yes.
And when they find that you have to stuff them with apples so that they don't eat the truffles.
Right.
Yeah, it's kind of like that with Jacques.
Yes, truffle. Except our truffles are long-winded stories.
Right.
I found all of them. So this is
all kinds of important details in there too.
Right, tons. This is.
We need time and temperature every 2-3 minutes. By the way, yeah. Next.
Oh, I don't.
The FCC's on our ass.
Wait,
we gotta listen. We gotta hit these marks.
I don't want to. I might have some bad news for you. I did an AM radio promotional interview. I had to drive to the station and went in to promote the show at Luna Theater, the local AM. Wow. Yeah, no, and look, they've been a radio station for like 70 years. They have a couple syndicated shows during the day, like at night and stuff, but they have a 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. morning show. The mayor's on it, the local politician. I'm old enough where sometimes I listen to it. And somehow they got my number. I went in, and the people who run the station is like, you should do a show here. And I'm like, I think you should talk to two people I do a podcast with who will quickly tell you.
And by the way, AM radio, do you want to speak to fewer people?
Well, that's the funny thing. It's like, because I've said that before. There's an assisted living facility down the street from us. It was like 1,000 people there. I'm like, that's it. That's their demo. This is old person radio for shut-ins in assisted living facilities. But then when we did a ticket giveaway and a few people actually called, I was like, oh, man, you almost sound younger than me. I mean, you don't sound that much older. But no, and I did when they're like, you should do this. And I'm like, there's a resume that comes with letters of recommendation. I will provide you with 2 gentlemen who will give you letters of unrecommendation.
Well, but to be fair, right? I mean, they kind of have a lot of free time.
Yeah.
So, but like I was trying to say, this is not the only country with crime, Biff.
This is true. Yeah, my homeland was so this one. My God, this is a funny one. So I don't know if you went to skip to the reenactment, but
I did.
I
thought I sent you a screen grab of it when
okay. There's the person that was there was a former like boy band singer. I think his name is Koki Tanaka. Anyway, not important. He was arrested for essentially controlled substance possession. But and they had a little reenactment thing, right? And the reenactment thing had this really like some intern is stuck with basically photoshopping the dude's actual photo on some cartoon body as he kind of walked by in the street, and then kind of like a police sees him and then basically busts him. And the police is a cartoon police. The gist of it is that he was originally arrested for possession of controlled substances, a while back. And then at a later hearing, they reduced his sentence from like what was like 2 years to like whatever 9 months or something like that. And then like literally like a week after they reduced his sentence, he was found walking in the streets, near his where he grew up. And I guess he's a famous guy. People recognize him, and so there happened to be just a police guy that recognized him. And when the police kind of saw him, the guy tried to avoid eye contact. So the police decided that was suspicious behavior and detained him. And they found drugs on him, and then they tested him, and then he was busted. And I'm thinking, we talk about the police being this and that in this country, but like in what country where you say, you avoided eye contact, so therefore you're suspicious? And I don't know, I don't have the details on how the each step proceeded, but how did it go from you can actually search the guy to get the drugs? So I was kind of amazed that my country is maybe kind of scarier than people make it out to be.
So like you can't, like, there's no probable cause and all that kind of stuff.
I don't know like a lot of the details of how that works in terms of and it could possibly be because he is at that point still kind of
on probation,
felon, kind of, on probation or something like that. So maybe that's sufficient for them to whatever. But I'm just like, wow, avoid the look and suddenly you're at the police station giving a urine test.
That's like it's like the opposite of giving somebody a funny look. Like, he didn't give me a funny look. That's a little odd. I should run this guy's number.
So I first of all, he had magnificent hair. He did have that a little on the older side for a boy band, but still had the really great boy band, Japanese hair. Very, very, very great. You look like somebody out of Force 5. Very, very. And then I couldn't see everything, but I took some of the Chiron and I copied and pasted it into Google Translate. It appears he also showed up at a church saying he was Ed Sheeran at one point, looking for $35 in a sandwich.
Well, they were temples. Not many churches in Japan.
All right. Racist. You jumping in there with some funny, Joe?
No.
So moving along. I was putting some stuff in a Dropbox to send to Joe's oldest kid, who's helping me like edit together a little yuck reel, and I'm like, oh, I didn't realize there were so many self-indulgent theater things in there.
Oh, well, look at that.
Yeah, that's what I sent to you. That's what you
but that was 2 years ago. Yeah, but you know what?
You burned through them all.
But Tommy's forgotten it. So I'm gonna, I was like, oh, hey, here's a Beastie Boys song. Oh, hey, this is so I don't know what I'm gonna play, but I'm gonna play something.
And now,
hey, Rocky, watch me pull a rabbit out of my hat.
Again?
Nothing up my sleeve. Presto!
Wrong hat.
I take a 7.5.
Now here's something we hope you'll really like.
I'm thinking, if you could do the public the kindness of John Oliver doing the theme song for the Beverly HillBillies, I think the world would be a better place.
I'll try. Luckily, we got our situation fixed so that now we can pump in the music and pump up the volume through our mixer. So I'm going to try to pull up the Beverly HillBillies theme.
For two tragically white guys, we make an awful lot of hip-hop references.
Yeah, hardly. So I'm going to give this a go. I don't know how well it's going to go, but it's Beverly HillBillies as done by John Oliver. It's the request line open and on Carnival Personnel. So here you go. John Oliver singing the Beverly HillBillies. Enjoy. Come and listen to my story about a man named Jed, a poor mountaineer, barely kept his family fed. And then one day he was shooting at some food, when up through the ground come a bubbling crude. Oil, that is, black gold, Texas tea, not as good as British tea. Well, the first thing you know, old Jed's a millionaire. The kin folks said, Jed, move away from there. He said, California is the place you ought to be. So they loaded up the truck and they moved to Beverly Hills, that is. Swimming pools, homeless people. Well, now it's time to say goodbye to Jed and all his kin. And they would like to thank you folks for kindly dropping in. You're all invited back next week to this locality to have a heap and helping of their hospitality. Hillbilly, that is. Set a spell. Take your shoes off. I don't like the term hillbillies. Now let me tell you about the problem with the oil manufacturers who took advantage of a poor mountaineer named Jed. He was undercut by at least 20% on that oil when he sold it. And now that land that he owns, that he sold, is worth 10 times more than when he sold it for. Finally tonight.
You know what? I mean, I didn't give you any lead time, and you nailed that on the first take. Just, you just came in here cold, came off the bench, and just...
They call me One Take Johnny. My name's Joe.
Thanks, Mo.
I'd like to say thank you on behalf of the group and ourselves. I hope we pass the audition.
All right. Now, where are we?
Game review.
Before we get into the game review, I want to ask Joe a serious question about gaming, because I was having this debate with both my boys the other day because it came up online. They were watching a debate. You download some online game. It doesn't matter. Pick any game. Every game is the same. You have to collect this many trinkets to trade it in to upgrade this armor. You get this many trinkets, you upgrade it to, and so they call it grinding. It's like, oh yeah, I've been grinding for like 40 hours to upgrade this gun.
Is that why they call that a website Grinder? I'm sorry.
Yeah, no. So here's the debate in the gaming world. You can spend 40 hours grinding away to buff. Is it buff out the gun or nerf out? Like one of them is it not like buff out is like it's OP, overpowering, or nerf. So they have all these stupid terms. Anyways, to max out the gun, you and I, being old Joe, would say you've maxed out this gun. You've upgraded it. You've upgraded the firepower, the capacity, X, Y, and Z. And it took you 40 hours of grinding through the game. Or stay with me now. You can have a job, go to work, and then you're like, oh, I have some discretionary income. I'm going to buy that maxed out gun, and I'm just going to start playing the game with everything maxed out because I was willing to drop $30. And they're like, that's cheating. It's like, is it though? Like, is that cheating, or is that, hey, you can spend 40 hours grinding away at this game and get the free upgrades, or you can go to work, make some real money, and then say, instead of buying this, I'm going to buy that. And I'm going to play the game with a maxed out gun. And I know I'm losing everybody but Joe, and maybe even Joe. Where do you weigh in on that?
Well, those free-to-play games are designed to take money away from gamers. Money and time, or both, if they designed it right. So it's not exactly cheating. It's just, honestly, they have similar debates in like other video games where, like in retro gaming, you can play the original game on the original cartridge on the original console, and it would be a hard game to play because it was made in the 90s or whatever, and it'd be like Nintendo hard. And but then now you can play those same games on an emulator on your computer, and when they have what they're called save states, where you can just sort of take a snapshot of where you are in the game, and if you screw up, you just reload that save state and start right before you messed up. And people were like, well, that's cheating. It's like, well, yeah, but I have a life. I have I don't want to spend 60 hours on this game that it was made like 30 years ago. Like it's fun, but I want my version of fun is getting through the game fast. And so there is no cheating, but there is legitimate cheating where, like, in video games there are people who, like, especially PC gaming, like they can they can hack the game and they can mod it so that they can modify their players so that they're invincible with, like, cheat codes and stuff. And then when you're doing online competitive play, that's like you're legitimately cheating because you're at an extreme advantage, basically illegally according to the rules of the game. And you can get banned from doing stuff like that. But no, that's not cheating. Buying your way through the game, I mean, it kind of at some point, you kind of like, is it worth playing this game for 40 hours to get this upgrade? Or do I just say, you know what, I got $30. Now the whole thing about getting a job versus playing video games is a whole other debate.
Right.
Which is funny, getting back to my oldest kid. So we meet up. I have the little guy with me. His mom picks him up from lifeguard thing. He has his certificate. He's so proud. We meet at the Korean corn dog place at the mall. And we are. I'm incredibly proud of the work he put in. But I couldn't keep that energy up. I had to turn to the 12-year-old and says, where's your job, loser? and then I did it, Joe. I did it. When he said, I'm 12. What did I say to him?
When everybody's got an excuse. I'm only 12.
On today's market, that piece of veal would be a $45
Niagara Falls.
And then I did. And then his mom was laughing. And I'm like, Tristan, by the time I was 12, I had my paper route for 4 years at that point.
And he's like, a what?
And then I reached over and I took his cupcake and I slid it over towards me and I took a bite. And then I hugged his brother in front of him.
He's going to be a fine comic.
Oh, so that was that. All right. Now, you know what, Biff, just so you don't say I'm biased, why don't you take the next couple minutes and tell everybody how great the Boston Bruins are?
Fantastic team, right? I mean, there's really, literally no weaknesses, on the actual roster and everything else. So yeah, I mean, I think odds-on favorite to win the cup this year. I mean,
I'm driving back from New York and I catch the third period. I texted you guys this.
Yeah.
And I catch the last couple minutes of in between the second and third period. And the two Boston announcers are like, hey, look, this is the fourth game and on the road and 5 nights. You're going to have one of these games, but there's no reason the Bruins are up 2-1. Like, they were up 2-1. At that point, they have been outshot like 30-11. Yeah. And the announcers are saying, the radio guy saying, if any way they possibly hold on to this, it's insane. It's crazy. They don't deserve to even be in this game, let alone winning. And so I get home. By the time I get home, I catch the last 5 minutes, 10 minutes of like the third period. And at one point, getting the shit out of the car and getting up, Calgary had scored 2 goals. So now it's 3-2. And I'm like, yeah, you know what? And I looked at the shots on the screen. It's like, oh, they're being outshot like 51-18. It's like, how are they only losing by 1 goal? I put some stuff in the laundry. I turn around and I hear the Bruins announcer screaming. It's like, what? They tied it? And then Calgary scored again, and then the Bruins scored again. Then it goes into overtime, and they won. They got outshot by almost 50 points on the road.
Well, yeah. So that's what I mean. When essentially, well, so the thing about it though is that what's great about it is that it was Calgary because Calgary's so desperate to be in the playoffs, and those not getting that second point really hurts them.
It really hurts.
Yeah.
And so the Bruins had, it was weird. Did a lot of teams, because the way the collective bargaining is, you have to have a week off. Is it 7 days you have off, or you have to have 6 days off?
Yeah, they call it a bye, but yeah.
And for some reason, the Bruins bye came just before the All-Star game, which meant they ended up having 10 days off.
Perfect.
So their first game back, they were rusty. They lost 2-1. They've won 9 since then. They broke the record for the fastest team to 100 points. I mean, it's all bullshit. Yeah. Nobody wins the cup in March. The Bruins have had some serious injuries, and it looks like Taylor Hall is out for the season. He might be back for the playoffs. Well, they put him on long-term, but then, like you pointed out, and I forgot, it's like, I don't think, I'm not going to speak for Biff. I am not a fan of Todd Bertuzzi. I'm also not a fan of his son, who Joe plays for the Detroit Red Wings.
No, it's not. I think
it's a nephew. Okay, yeah. Who missed half of last season because they're in a division with a lot of Canadian teams, and because he wouldn't get vaccinated, he couldn't play in New York in Madison Square Garden. He couldn't play in Long Island, or actually, it's now Brooklyn, where the Islanders are still
at Barclays.
Yep.
They were at Barclays last year, yeah.
And then so he couldn't play in Toronto, Montreal. Yeah. So he missed half the season because he's an anti-vaxxer, and he's a real piece of crap. And so the Bruins were done making their trades. That they had a couple trades, they're all done. They had one really big trade, and then the next day they lose 2 players, and within 12 hours they're like, well, we better have a warm body if these guys can't come back. A couple fourth liners, but hey, Nick Foligno, he's a good guy. He's a journeyman, dude. He's on pace to have like a career year. It's like one of those.
I don't know if it's that way, but I mean, it's over the course of his career. It almost breaks even, because his first year he was garbage. This year he's been a lot better, but ultimately, right? I mean, you get the guys that you get. I don't know if they really needed Bertuzzi, but certainly, you don't. If they don't get him, and if they could get him, then he might end up on somebody else's team, and then they could cause problems, right? So I think it's fine, but
now the Lightning made a lot of moves. Okay, so who are the big challengers to the Bruins in the second and third round?
Well, so essentially, it's going to be whoever comes out of the Metro. So Tampa is always a problem, right? Because they've been there, done that team. So I think that's going to be the only team that could cause a problem in the Northeast. On the Metro side, I mean, the Rangers are really stocked up. So and the thing about the Rangers is that even though Shesterkin hasn't been great, if that goalie gets hot, that's always that equalizer, right? The hot goalie can always, I mean, that's what happened with, like that, that's what kept the Penguins from three-peating, right? Because Patrick Roy, right? Actually, they lost to the Islanders or something like that year. So it wasn't Patrick Roy that year, but whatever. Right, a hot goalie's always an
that's the biggest, the 2 biggest cliches in hockey playoffs are you healthy? Can you stay healthy? And the hot goalie. And speaking of hot goalies, not only are the Bruins goalies both just standing on their head, like I said, Linus Omar to like steal. That's stealing a game. If you're outshot by 50, that's stealing. Well, the open net goal. What was your thoughts on that?
Oh, it's a great, and it was a nicely placed, like the puck just kind of went where there was essentially it was kind of a quasi dumping. He had all kinds of room. Perfect time to try that, empty net shot. It was a great shot.
Wait, the goalie scored an over net goal.
Yeah. Here's what's funny. The last time an open net goal was scored, I think I was in the same building, because when I was in the building, Biff and actually Joe too, we all had a friend who was playing hockey in Vancouver. I went up one weekend, and that friend and a couple of their friends on the team, we got last minute, hey, let's go to this game. We got the last row in the building. It was like one more row behind us. We're on the outside.
Yeah.
And Nabarkov, I think that was the goalie's name. Nabarkov scores an open net goal. And
the guys that had it, yep.
And so
did you read about it in the paper the next day, or did you?
No, and it was really awesome. It was really, and those are that's one of the times where you have the seats way up there, where you're like, this is the best place to be sitting because you see the entire ice.
Yeah.
You see what he see. Oh, it was delicious. So the fact that, so then the Bruins like broadcast the other day did a breakdown.
Yeah.
I didn't realize how rare it is. I know it's rare. And I know Billy Smith was the first one to do it. Is Hextall the only one with 2 open net goals?
Brodeur has multiple.
Oh, Brodeur, right. Brodeur. And who has the first playoff?
Hextall was the first playoff one, I think.
So only 8 goalies have done it.
Something like that.
In the almost 100-year history.
Yeah.
And what's crazy about it is like,
it's all in the last 30 years.
Is it because was that one of those unwritten rules that it goes against the goalie's G, goals against average? So as a respect to other goalies, you just didn't do it?
It does not go against the goalie's goals against average. No, it's because players used to be crap. I mean,
13 goaltenders have scored, according to Wikipedia.
13 goals have been scored, or 13 goalies have scored?
No, 13 goaltenders have scored a total of 16 goals in the NHL game.
Yeah.
So it was so rare that I guess there's more people who have scored 500 goals than have open goalies have scored, which you're like, wait a minute.
That's possible. Yeah, that's
there was a couple weird stats, but I didn't first Bruins goalie to do it. So it was great. It was great. And then like Biff and I were texting, or you were on the text thread too. For some reason, the Sabres, who were losing by 4 goals, kept pulling the goalie. And a couple times people are like, will Swayman take a shot? Because there was a couple times where he had the puck on his tape and it looked like he might have been taking a shot. It's funny because Bergeron scored a 200-foot behind his goal line, shorthanded. They pulled their goalie, and it's like, oh, that was pretty awesome.
And I do want to do a little asterisk here. So Ron Hextall did score the first. He was the first goalie to have scored a goal in the opposing net. Billy Smith of the New York Islanders, in 79 to 80, scored it in his own goal.
No, you know what? Here's what the stat is. Thank you for clarifying. Joe. What had happened is only 8 goalies had scored on open nets. What happens is, and this is fucked up.
Yeah. The last person who
touched it. So if somebody mishandles the puck and they put it in their own net, and the last person on the other team. So only 8 goalies have scored on other teams' nets, right?
By shooting it. Yeah.
By shooting it.
Yeah.
Because I remember there's been many a times that Biff would get a second assist or a first assist. It's like, oh, let's get this to Stefan behind the net. Watch him go around 5 people, going around 2 of them twice, and then score, and then making sure that Biff's name got said on the loudspeaker because he got the assist.
Anyway, yeah. So that was a good team. Yeah. I would say the teams that you worry about are Lightning, Rangers, Panthers, I think. Not Panthers, I mean Hurricane. I think those are the teams that you kind of worry about.
The Hurricanes, they're one of the Rob Bridgermore is still running the show with the Hurricanes.
That is correct, yeah.
Yeah. And he's one of those guys, he's not afraid of anybody.
Well, there's a certain aspect of their play that's similar to the way the Bruins play. They're not quite as good as the Bruins. They don't have the there's nobody on that team that finishes like Pasternak, right? So, even though they have great talent, but
And Pasta's locked up for 8 years now on what seems to be kind of a team. Well, they're saying, it's a team-friendly thing, but he's still the 6th highest paid player in the league.
Yeah, so I think that the thing that I would say was kind of and going back to the blind squirrels point of they wanted you want to dump him in 3 years. I think that if they had the balls to properly sign him when they signed this current contract, and sign him for the full 8, they could have had him for 8 years for about maybe 7.5, 8 million, right? So they would have been better off doing that, but whatever. Because I think they had him for 6 up until this year. So
right. It's one of those, but you could have, would have, should have, but I'm happy where they are.
The reason why I say this is because I thought he was fantastic back then, but I guess
he's been great since day one.
For whatever reason, they didn't want to go full max on him, and I was I wasn't sure why.
I mean, the only person in the league who scores more goals on the power play standing on the left side face-off dot is Ovechkin.
Yeah,
Like both of those guys, it's like if that cross-ice pass gets there, I don't care who's in goal and how much time they get to square up. Anyway, so
All right, guys, wrap it up. Let's get on with it.
What are you watching? I'm watching the Bad Batch on Disney Plus, the season 2, the animated. This is right after, right at the tail end of the Clone Wars. This is just before, Rogue One. Yeah. It's called Bad Batch. It's 5 kind of misfit. It's still when the Republic was using clones, and they played around with the DNA a little bit, and they made one of them really huge and super strong. It's almost like an X-Men of it's almost like an X-Men.
So wait, these life forms that have nothing to do with Earth somehow also develop DNA?
Yes, 100%.
And they speak English.
And they speak English.
Perfect English, actually. Like
and with British accents.
Well, the classy ones.
The Empire speak with British accents.
Yeah, well,
speaking of which, what was that weird accent that Natalie Portman had when she was Princess whatever? Amidala?
Oh yeah, well, she was putting on her air. That was her airs. She's putting on a regal accent. Yeah. And it was also George Lucas directing. All right.
Yeah. Don't question the god. No, it's fun.
Part of the problem is that they're, when you say, when you talk about American queens, it's a completely different thing than the British queen. So
yes,
I think that's where we kind of struggle with that.
But by the time we chat next, I will have been a couple episodes into both The Mandalorian and season 3 of Ted Lasso. Are you guys still on the Last of Us bandwagon?
I am.
Good.
I'm keeping up.
I'm not, because I don't have HBO Max.
I'm sorry, Biff. I apologize. Well, let me spoil it for you. So, anyways, episode 7.
I know it involves some kind of fungus, but that's about all I know.
Yes, the cordyceps. That's what it's called. It's a cordyceps. Get with the program, Biff. Everybody's talking about the cordyceps, man. It's all about the cordyceps, baby.
Oh, you complete me. It's funny. Actually, I had that in the rundown the other day. You guys ever just randomly fall into a rabbit hole of an artist that you like, but you don't listen to a lot, but like for like a 2-week period of time, that's all you listen to?
Kind of, yeah.
You know what the rabbit hole I do get into is that old gray whistle test. That's
best.
Dangerous.
Absolute
best. Dangerous rabbit hole.
Absolute. Joe, do you know what the old gray whistle test is?
No.
It was a lot. Cable Access Studio. It was a BBC show, but it has all the production value of a 3-camera Lexington Cable Access Studio in 1993. And you would have the greatest bands ever stripped down, coming in, and just killing it.
Okay.
It is the anti-Top of the Pops.
Right.
Okay.
Right. Yeah. No flash, and it's not like stripped down. It's not like an acoustic thing, but man, like you would see the Police and just the best of the best bands that would come through there. Like I said, Plain Curtain.
But a lot of like obscure bands too. So that's the thing. They have a lot of these wacky bands that I've never heard of. It's like, wow. I've never even know these guys.
But then you Wikipedia and you're like, oh wait, they were gigantic in Belgium for 4 years. They
something like that, right?
Sold out stadium. No,
I do want to. Before are we done with TV?
Yeah. No, go back to TV. Sorry.
I just wanted to add one thing. So talking about me going through VHS tapes. So in the early 2000s, there was this show on VH1 called I Love the 80s. Do you remember that show?
Of course, yeah. Absolutely.
So I taped all of them.
And
nice. I have I even made labels. They were in nice cases. I loved this was like the perfect show for me because it was remembering the past. It was great. Yeah. And now I'm watching them and I tape them and they have the commercials and stuff in them from VH1. These aired in January of 2003, the run that I'm watching. I'm watching an I Love the 80s 1980 episode that was taped in 2003 in 2023. So I'm remembering. And the levels of nostalgia it's too much, actually. I have to say it's too much. And Jacques, I think I'm gonna have to digitize them or find them out on YouTube, because I think one night when we do a sleepover, we have to watch like one of these I Love the 80s things.
Yeah, we're getting into a very, very tricky area there. Most of the stuff we watch is akin to watching Three Stooges in a Rush concert with my management. Like, she doesn't want anything to do with it. But if we're going to watch that might be one of those.
Well, it's
I
also
would
like
have watched it.
It's a 20-year-old Hal Sparks.
Well, that's her guy.
Talking about like the Blue Lagoon, you know?
Right.
She lives for Hal Sparks. She absolutely
And she loves the 80s.
Is Hal Sparks her hall pass?
No, that's the dude.
It's either Simon Le Bon or
you don't even know. No, 4 of the 5 people on her hall pass is John Taylor from Duran Duran. Being very clear about that.
Okay,
being very clear about that.
Why, do you know another?
And then the 5th one is any Chris from the Marvel Cinematic Universe. It could be Pine. It could be Pratt. It could be Hemsworth. It could be Evans. It probably should be Evans.
You know what? I never realized how many Chris's there were. But yeah. Pratt and all that.
Well, it's funny because there was a meme a few years ago. The director yelled, Chris, come to the set, and 5 beefed out white guys come blasting out of trailers.
Speaking of Chris Pratt, one last thing. TV related, video game related. The Super Mario Brothers movie is being heavily promoted and correctly promoted, I might add. That they did a great Super Bowl commercial. It was great. It referenced the old Super Mario Brothers Super Show from 1989 that I grew up watching. Anyway, recently on the Kelly Clarkson show, she had on 4 cast members from the new Super Mario Brothers movie. They had Chris Pratt, Charlie Day, Keegan-Michael Key, and Jack Black. 3 of which were dressed in normal clothes. Guess which one showed up in a Bowser costume? That's right, Jack Black.
Oh my God, he is a delight.
Yes, so that's all.
Oh no, the boys are very upset about Chris Pratt being the voice of Mario for some reason, but they are so excited about Jack Black.
Yeah, Jack Black is saving it. Charlie Day is Luigi, by the way. Another, I think, a good pull.
Yeah,
Keegan-Michael Key will be funny. Chris Pratt's just, it's he's Chris Pratt. Like there's him doing a voice is like, it's almost akin to blackface in my opinion.
Yeah, no,
and,
that's yes, no, that's their takeaway. That's pretty much their takeaway. It's like, why him there? But do you think it will be as good or not as good as Pedro Pascal's Mario
Kart? I still haven't seen it.
Oh, dude, it's delicious. It delivers. It is absolutely awesome. It really is. It's great. It's great. No. So talk about music. A couple weeks ago, and I don't know why, I just fell down the rabbit hole. Can we plug up these holes, by the way? Because there's a lot of falling happening, and I'm concerned. Oh, yeah. We should at least get an estimate.
Yeah. Let's get a couple of estimates.
So look, Joe, tell me what greatest hits albums are for.
Housewives and Little Girls.
But I don't know if it's all on a greatest hits album, but Elvis Costello has, let's say, 8 songs I love. Like, honestly, absolutely love. And another 8 songs that I really like. And so I've been listening to those same 8 songs almost on a constant loop for a couple weeks. And like I said, not a big fan, out of nowhere. And so I text my buddy, Dan, in the band. I'm like, oh my God, I can't stop listening to these 3 songs by Elvis Costello. And he's like, oh, well, this is my 2 favorite songs by him. And if you put his entire catalog in front of me, like if I had my 25 favorites, those 2 songs aren't on it. But if you told me what are Dan's 2 favorite songs, I'd be those right. And I laughed hysterically. I'm like, we both love the same artist to the same degree, but different parts of their catalog, which is, I'm like, and that's what I did. I'm like, yep, This is why it works. This is why 30 years in.
Yeah, if there were a C side to a record, Dan would be all over it.
If any of the bands that we love, if it's kind of a singer-songwriter thing by Iron Maiden, that would be Dan's favorite. You know what I mean? But I'm gonna go with Run with the Hills. He's gonna go with like whatever the singer-songwriter ballad thing is, and that's why when we sit down and we jam, and that's why it's always fun, because he'll put drum tracks like just a track on it to have a timing thing when he's working something out, but I hear it completely different, and he's always like, yeah, I wouldn't have thought this. So that's why I just throw that out. But it was fun because I'm like, yep, I would have guessed those two songs. I think they suck from an artist I love. And he doesn't think like Radio sucks, but it's not like his favorite Elvis Costello song. But he's wrong. So that's about it. We got some parenting tips from you fine gentlemen who've raised amazing young men.
No.
Sorry.
No.
So my parenting tip is...
Oh, I know what my parenting tip is. Sorry. If you're going to, make a comedy club lose their liquor license, bring your 15-year-old to that club and then publicly out them on as many social media platforms as possible. Even if you get the name of the club wrong, it's the Greenwich Village Comedy Club, not the Comedy Cellar. That's a different club, although it is a cellar. Anywho,
taking it down from the inside. Yeah, well, that's a confusion. No, that's good. But that was my thing. It's like, you know what? Sometimes you just throw them in. Just, you know what? You're gonna do it. It's gonna be great.
Whether you're learning to be a lifeguard or CPR training or stand-up comedy.
Yep. Yeah. Look, dude, this opportunity might not come out. Look. You got one opportunity in this life, and now the whole 8 Mile soundtrack is running through my head. And it is. And the really nice thing about him doing the lifeguard thing, working his ass off, it not working out.
People have a pool.
It's not working out, and then doing it. I've said to him, one of my stupid dad sayings that I've said to the boys their whole life: you don't lose the fight because you got knocked down. You only lose when you don't get back up. And it's fine to get knocked down. If you want to lay on the mat,
you get knocked down,
but you get up again.
Yeah, it's you're never going to keep me down.
Yeah.
Unless you ask nicely. Because then, by the way, are you going to now?
That's a different song.
So now, speaking of the pool, now are you going to, because he's a lifeguard, are you going to now install a lifeguard chair?
It's already there. It's already out there.
Awesome.
Didn't like Nikki Sixx or Tommy Lee like lose a guest at their pool? So
oh boy,
right?
I think William Shatner did too.
William Shatner's wife.
Yeah.
She just hit her head. And
speaking of which, hey, you know what kind of wood doesn't float?
Oh, come on! Oh, I will not allow that to be said on this podcast.
Wait. Too soon?
Just let it hang there.
Come on.
Come on.
You know you want to say it.
All right. These are the jokes, kids.
These are the jokes. And
you know what? You actually walked Jacques off the podcast. He's no longer on the podcast because of that offensive.
Well, why don't you go ahead and finish that?
All right. Well, let's see. Well, we certainly did have a good time this week. There will be no sideshow next week, or will there? Who knows? Because things can happen. Things change. We have a whole 7 days to plan for this next upcoming sideshow. It could be anybody. You know what? Grayson could be on the sideshow. He's a comic now. If we're interviewing comics, he could be. That qualifies him to be on our podcast. You know what? Jacques, your sister is clamoring to become a guest on Sideshow Carnival Personnel Sideshow. I'm changing the name of the sideshow, by the way. It's Sideshow Carnival Personnel Sideshow, Incorporated, etc. I'm just going to keep in XM Pandora. I'm adding things to it. It's like when all these companies merge. You just keep tacking on the name to make it longer. Like Bristol Myers Squibb, Raytheon. Hasbro. Like what? Disney? Oh my God. ColecoVision? How'd you get in here? Get the fuck out of here. Anyway, I've rambled long enough. Or have I? You know what? You listened to Jacques ramble for 45 goddamn minutes and you loved it. Nobody said a word except for Biff 7 times. So I have my rights too, and I'm gonna ramble on about what's with these kids wanting to buy their way through video games. You know, what is that? I consider it cheating. You know what? Let's go to the phones. No, I did that bit last time. Anyway, well, good night, everybody. It's time for me to take my nap. Biff, you're the greatest. Jacques, don't forget.